got a comment on my video. Put an hour into doing research about, well, put an hour into making the video about the research I did, which took me a day. And I documented all the whales that are being washed ashore dead. Whole pods of whales dying. 160 some odd whales in just Argentina. I didn't cover in the video, but I later, after I made the video, found some articles that compared the situation with beluga whales in Canada to the Argentina situation. In Canada, they had a 600% increase in beluga whales washing up dead on the beach in 2012. Yeah, so anyhow, you know, it's very obvious that the comment that I'm talking about on this video that I made is whoever it was that made this comment, they said it's speculation. It's speculation that Fukushima has anything to do with all the dying and dead whales. And yeah, so I figured I would produce a video of some evidence that it's obviously Fukushima. This person is so stupid that made this comment that they claim that Fukushima couldn't possibly be responsible for the dead and dying whales in Scotland and Britain and all this. Which is blasphemy. It's just nonsense. Fukushima is a raging nuclear meltdown since 2.5 years ago. You know, if that's not enough said, you know, let's say Chernobyl. You know, Chernobyl is said to have killed 1 million people globally. Chernobyl meltdown only lasted for 1 week before they halted the meltdown. They infused it with boron and sand, which turned it into a glass, a solid radioactive glass. But then the material of it was no longer just wafting into the air. But at Fukushima, they didn't do anything to halt the meltdown, and so the meltdown is continuing to this very day. It's still a raging nuclear meltdown. Which means it's polluting the atmosphere, it's getting rained out into the oceans, it's globally polluting the atmosphere, it's globally polluting the oceans. But even worse than that, in recent weeks, they made an announcement that you know, they didn't say this outright, but, you know, it's very obvious if you have any understanding of physics and what it is that would cause the ocean to boil right in front of the raging nuclear meltdown. And that's what the situation is now, is that the ocean is boiling in front of the nuclear meltdown at Fukushima. Anyhow, so I did a little bit more research and I found this. The smoking gun relating Fukushima to the sea mammal deaths. It's a dolphin that washed up on the beach in Peru, along with 259 other dead dolphins. 171, 900 Cape Cod. I don't know what all this is to mean. I guess they're saying 900 dead dolphins washed up in Cape Cod. I didn't watch the whole video. You guys can come over here and watch this video if you want. 260 dead dolphins, Peru. 171, 900 Cape Cod. Whales. New Zealand, birds, Washington, D.C., April 2012. This report was being made in February of 2012. Anyhow, the important thing is, and this is what caught my eye, is that this dolphin that washed up on the shore was bleeding from its eyeball. So I know that to be a cause or caused by nuclear radiation, radioactive material. It will cause bleeding from mucal tissue, anywhere that mucus might form. Radioactive material might cause it to bleed at a high enough dose. So I went out here and started looking for the symptom list where I had read this, that radiation might cause eyeballs to bleed, and I was having a hard time finding it. You know, they really hide this stuff because they don't want people to read, like, they don't want it to come to the top of Google that, you know, you might bleed from your eyeball once Fukushima melts down long enough. Anyhow, this person is complaining that, oh, this is another one, severely itchy. That's a symptom of radiation sickness, radiation poisoning. And this was made 2 years ago, shortly after Fukushima melted down. And this person, resident bad beast, says that he's not a doctor, but it might be radiation poisoning. You know, because no doctors have any accounts online, you know, to be able to comment to people. That's obviously radiation poisoning. Itchy and bleeding from the eyeball. Anyhow, I found... Oh, look at this. Japanese people are bleeding from their eyeballs. May of 2012. Bleeding in eye and headache, common related medical conditions. 72 conditions associated with bleeding in the eye and headache. Irritated area of skin caused by overexposure to the sun's rays or other UV light. That's actually a dead end. You know, they hint at it. All of these are dead ends. That none of them state outright that radiation will cause you to bleed from your eyeball. The search was radiation cause eyes to bleed. Eventually, I found a link here. Oh, this one, they don't say it here either. This is a webcast of the University of Maryland Medical System. In the blurb under the Google search result, there was something related to radiation causing eyes to bleed, and that's what brought me onto this page. But when I got to the page, there was nothing about it, and so I loaded the Google cache to see if they had changed the page, and there was still nothing about it. So they're fixing the search results on Google, including the doctors at the University of Maryland Medical System, and they're causing there to be these false results for radiation sickness symptoms that to the Google search results, that you're not able to find the information that you're looking for. You know, is this radiation related to all this contamination from the Fukushima nuclear meltdown? Anyhow, finally, I found it, and it's on like a not so easy to understand website. The Merck Manual. Radiation exposure and contamination. And we gotta scroll all the way down through this webpage to where got a little highlight going. Oh, there it is. The hematopaic syndrome is the dominant manifestation after whole body doses of about 1 to 6 grays. GY is a gray. It's let me think. It's a certain dosage of radiation per kilogram of body weight. Consists of a generalized pancytopenia, a mild prodrome may begin after 1 to 6 hours, lasting 24 to 48 hours, yada yada yada. Anyhow, we get down to here. Petechiae and mucosal bleeding result from thrombocytopenia, which develops within 3 to 4 weeks and may persist for months. You know, and all this, like, doctor jargon, yeah, they reveal that radiation sickness will cause you to bleed from your nose, your eyes, your butt, all your mucal tissues. And it's nowhere in the Google search results for radiation cause eyes to bleed. Yeah, I forget what search terms I did to find this website, but yeah, it took me a couple hours searching to arrive to where there was a website which explains that radiation sickness might cause your eyes to bleed, and they dress it up in all this language that would make somebody, you know, immediately just close the web page because they're not understanding any of it, and then they bury it halfway down the web page. Here's the description of the gray unit. Absorbed dose specific energy imparted, and of karma, such energies are typically associated with ionizing radiation, X-rays, or gamma particles, or other nuclear particles. It is defined as the absorption of 1 joule of such energy by 1 kilogram of matter. So 1 joule per kilogram dosage of radiation. And so on that webpage they were talking about you know, not only the mucus bleeding but also the skin bleeding, what they called petechial bleeding. I forget exactly the words they used. I already closed the tab. Anyhow, common petechial rashes. This is what a petechial rash is that you get these red spots on your skin, and they say here, radiation therapy and chemotherapy are petechial rash causes, as well as these therapies can break the blood capillaries. Excessive consumption of medications like steroids and anticoagulants can also cause petechial rash as its symptom. So radiation can cause the petechial rash, and it can cause the petechial rash to bleed. Somewhere between 1 and 6 joules of energy per kilogram of body weight. And then we got this as of, let's see, what is this? June 2013. This woman in Chile, Yaritza, she's bleeding from her eyeball. She's bleeding from both her eyes, actually. And they say it might be related to tumors. You know, go figure. She's got tumors and she's bleeding from her eyeball. So, you know, I figure this is not going to be enough. You know, people, they are not going to believe that, you know, Fukushima is, you know, is a gross nuclear hazard. You know, just because some doctors say that, you know, you might bleed from your eyeballs, and there's eyeballs bleeding all over the place, in the ocean, people, everywhere, everything. But, this might convince people. Well, goddamn, it's a Cyclops shark. That must happen all the time. Yeah, and then, oh look, we got some petechial bleeding. A seal like this, they don't generally have this red to their fur. That seal's face is all messed up with this redness also. Is that a seal or is it a slug? He is quite red. And he looks very tired. Yeah, it's been in the news that, well, back in 2012 it was in the news, you know, and then they kind of suppressed it, that seal pups especially, seals, but pups especially, in California, they're washing up on the shoreline, sick, that they, you know, they just were having a really hard time surviving. Lesion. Like we need, you know, some circles to point this out to us. Like we can't see that this seal is sick. Walruses apparently also. I don't know what this thing is, but they're pointing out lesions on this. The camera doesn't seem to be getting the color, but there's some reddish lesions there. I'm gonna visit the page and see what else they got to say about these lesions on what looks like it might be a deer. Looks like there's an ear there. I think we're looking at the back of its head or something. Oh no. It must be a seal because they're showing us seals on this website. Seals that have radiation sickness. And they show us this thing. I have no idea what it is. Maybe it's a seal carcass and we're looking at the skeleton there. Yeah, anyhow, I got a couple more pages here. Over in Britain, they're reporting that maybe it's Fukushima nuke disaster. It's radiation from Fukushima to blame for 1,000 malnourished seals washing up on California's beaches. Radiation from Japan's nuclear disaster could be the reason why more than 1,000 sick sea lion pups have washed up on the beaches of Southern California in the past few months, experts believe. This as of April 2013. Or maybe it's because they connected the meltdown to the ocean, and now the ocean is boiling. Yeah, you know, they only broke that news a little less than a month ago, August 20th, but you know, the way it has been expressed, in the condition of the atmosphere, that there's you know, there's some days where the moisture in the air is so very thick and heavy, and then there's other days where, you know, it you know, I'm saying unusually thick and heavy, the moisture in the air, and then there's other days where you know, just the whole ridiculous moisture condition just goes away. Like yeah, they're boiling the ocean for sure, based on how fast and how unusual the the water condition of the atmosphere is, like flash flooding in California, stuff like that. But they also have the ability to throttle back on their boiling the ocean. Like there's some images of the Fukushima plant which show that it's billowing steam off of the ocean, and then if you go to the live cam, doesn't seem to be so much steam there, although if you watch it all day you'll find a couple times where there's steam come into the camera frame. Anyhow, so it seems that they have the ability to throttle it. So they the very moment that they put in their steel wall, which is their conduit to there's a steel wall that they put in supposedly to make the whole place a marsh, and so it's the it would be the path from the ocean to the nuclear meltdown that they drilled a channel through this steel wall, and so they would have they might have this capacity to throttle it, that there's a valve that they can either open or close, and so they can let as much of the ocean dump onto the meltdown as they're trying to do at one time. And so they could have been doing this since they got that steel wall installed, that they would throttle it but not make it so obvious. But on August 20th they made it very obvious that there was steam billowing off of the ocean. But maybe it's been going on the whole time since they got this steel wall installed, and they just didn't do it at such a spectacular rate that it would be very noticeable, the ocean boiling. I think there was something else that I had seen. Oh, obviously there's a nuclear tuna. Oh yeah, there was something else, but I lost the page, so I'll have to look it up. Is fish bleeding from eyeballs. There's a story of Pacific herring that are bleeding from their eyeballs. I'll be extra thorough, and I'm going to throw the word herring in there. As of August 19th, the day before they announced that there was this boiling ocean condition at Fukushima, biologists, Pacific herring in Canada, bleeding from eyeballs, faces. So we got dolphins bleeding from their eyeballs. We got cyclops sharks. We got herrings bleeding from their eyeballs in the Pacific Ocean. We got hundreds, if not thousands, of marine mammal deaths per year. I think, and we like this condition that being, we got people bleeding from the eyeballs in Chile, which is it's across the ocean from Fukushima. It is on the other shore of the Pacific. Yeah, in this condition that all of these beings are suffering is it's a condition that is associated with radiation sickness that Google is hiding. That Google, and apparently all the doctors in the world, they don't care to let anybody know that if they're bleeding from the eyeball, they might be sick with radiation poisoning, that they may have consumed very much radiation. Yeah, I'm gonna see if there's any images of these herring bleeding from their eyeballs. You know what? I'm gonna try another search here. Fish bleeding from the eyeball. Salmon. Well, there's no images of salmon bleeding from their eyeballs. There's a really good close-up, though, of this fish bleeding from his eyeball. Yeah, this is all red right there, too. Oh, look at this. Here's a salmon. Yeah, so you know, anybody who has some confusion on it, you know, as to whether Fukushima nuclear meltdown that's been raging for 2.5 years, you know, is maybe some hazard to the world's oceans, you're an idiot.